here then, you had a crossbreed between some of these very advanced extraterrestrial aliens, and now, of course, when their little cousins return, the little grays. So I'm saying the little grays are not even new. The whole gray concept is not even new. All of this has been going on for a very long time. Well, let me summate here and get down to what's happening presently. After this pact was made through Eisenhower, every president from that time on has been made to know of the grays and these underground aliens that are coming in sometimes at the rate of 30,000 a month. And they've been doing that for I don't know how long now. You can imagine what the population now of aliens or extraterrestrials is on this planet now. And they come and go whenever they want, all kind of different craft, usually using the desert areas. You wonder again about some of the diseases now, the Navajo, about AIDS. Well, heck, they are masters of viral manipulation and phylum manipulation. All they got to do is ask them for it. You say, you really want it? Yeah, well, boss, this is how you do it. Give us a few more thousand people. The people that they get, we're not sure what happens to. Some are implanted with the device put up here again just beneath the third eye, as they call it, by which they can be controlled remotely and all. Some of them, again, are telepaths, or made to take on telepathic conditions very quickly, if you would. Others are altered or mutated, again, per se, and some are taken away and they don't know where they're taken to or for whatever purpose, but they don't see them again. Okay? This has been going on now for some time, and our Earth now is honeycombed underground with caverns and passageways and tunnels all over the Earth itself. There's no place you can go hardly. In fact, I'll say, no, if I say this, this is when you'll get in trouble here. But there's a place here near Smyrna that has the same kind of installation. There's a big hospital right there. Beware of that hospital. Now, I simply tell you again, as all of this goes on, that our whole Earth, not just here in Atlanta, is undergoing this process. And it's happening at a time when the Earth itself is awakening. The Earth itself is supposed to be coming into a time of peace, and the Earth itself is supposed to be collectively joining what is called the planetary brotherhood. Well, this is a holdback. You've got arch criminals and no-gooders on here ready to take you out, and you're about to go peaceful. It's very difficult for them to say, well, come on, brothers, but leave your gang member over there. So consequently, there's a cleansing and balancing going on. And since many of the surface of Earth people invited these people or signed an agreement with it, it makes it kind of rough, because in space people honor the word. They honor the vibration that is behind the word. And if the elected leaders say it's okay, the masses only follow, unless the masses separate from the elected leaders. So consequently, this is a problem, or one of the problems or challenges that this planet faces again. They stated also that from time to time they would land a mutated species of the cloning of Earth people with one of their kind, or one of the space kind that they had gathered, just to see how it interfaced with other people of Earth, if it would be accepted. And say they started off with those with this slight changes, and then they went more and more into those who had terrific changes, and we've accepted all of them. We just say, well, they're sick, or they're contaminated, or they're radiated, or they're different, and you see them, but you don't see them. You accept them. So that you accept, more than you are given. And unfortunately, this is the way things are pretty much gone. The United States says, finally, at the advent of 30,000 of these creatures coming in a month, and that's all we know of, we don't know what else they're doing, with advanced weaponry, masters of gene splicing, and so on and so forth, we are in trouble. And they state this is a planet in deep trouble. So a couple of times there was revolt. They took a crack Green Beret, special CIA-trained force group, and attacked the base down there at New Mexico. I forget what they call it right now. It'll come to me again. And somebody said, which? Somebody? Oh, well, no, not that one again. There's a city, there's a whole town that they've taken over down, and you drive through it, you don't even recognize it. It looks like little farmers and stuff, but everything is underground. And they have laboratories underground there again. They went so far that they made these special forces kind of angry, and so it was about a troop of about 80 men, crack trained, they attacked them. The battles, they say, lasted 6 minutes. Every one of them were dead. What they didn't know, since they didn't see these creatures as armored, that they had what they call mental capabilities of linking their minds together at a time of crisis. And they set up an energy field around them, and then from that, energy generated and disintegrated the people or caused them to turn the weapons upon themselves, just like in the movies. After that, they haven't bothered them on that level since, per se. they're really powerless to do anything about them anyway because their science is much in advance of the science that's used here again. They then commissioned the Rand Corporation to what they call the Jason scholars, some of supposedly the best and bright minds that the planet has to offer, to ponder the situation and to come up with conclusions as to what they could do, first of all, with the Greys, if nothing there, with any other aliens that might come, if nothing there, with what they call the overpopulation of the planet Earth, and with nothing there, how they could get off the planet Earth and go elsewhere. Not much, I mean, a little task. You probably give to your kids all the time. But think of the challenge, Mom, Dad, if you give me this kind of problem, I could figure out how to do it. Boy, I would have to grow up real quick. Well, some of these kids have IQs reaching 400, but they have spiritual development like that of an ant. Take that back. Some ants are very spiritual. I don't know what kind of spiritual development. They seem to be bereft of spiritual development. They only have intellect. The cause justifies the means, the end justifies the means, and let all the chips fall where they may. Let's get the results. What they care about personal interrelationships and about people is nothing. What they care about is the cause that they were commissioned to work for and develop for, because some of these people were actually born in space. They took up some of these satellites, took these embryos up there and outside of the uterus, developing what they call, Hitler was even doing that then. It's an old thing, and they developed a whole different kind of human now up there that supposedly can grow taller and does not have the radiation and gravity to worry about, so the neurons and synapse points are better and better connected. So they're think tankers. You see it in the movies, you just don't believe the movies. You should. Some of the movies tell you better than what the papers can tell you. At any rate, they had reached what they call conclusion one, or really alternative one. Alternative one was to blast a hole in the stratosphere with nuclear weapons, let radiation come down over the areas of people they didn't want to be here and let them be incinerated or radiated to death, die of disease within 20 years. That was alternative one. Alternative two was to send a mass rocket or a fleet of them packed with nuclear detonated warheads or detonating capability of super erg megaton ratio and blow up the planet Jupiter or one of its moons, Titan particularly, letting the other gods know that the masters of Earth would now return and could defend themselves, and they'd be so scared that they leave Earth alone. Now, way out? Oh, yes. But they asked way out questions, they got way up answers. The third was to get rid of what they called the Goy, or Goyim, or the unworthy people, the consumers of Earth, who were taking up too much food anyway in space and airspace. Give them like cattle to these people from time to time, breed them for that purpose, take the best thing that they had developed out of their body fluids, and see if they could mutate a people here to adapt to the Earth as they came into the New Age. You guess who those people were. So at any rate, after this was done, they stated, well, we'll have to see what's going to happen. And then suddenly they said, time is so short, we're going to have to come up with a new world order. That's where I'm going to take my break. Okay? Got you? Got you caught now and thinking about it? Great. That's where I'm going to take a break. That means you'll come back for your money and for more of the teachings and so on and so forth again. Before we do so, some things that I'd like to share with you. I have a table in the back, and my son's back there again. All of these papers sell for $1 if you wish them. This is about the global plantation, like I was telling you about, and NAFTA. Anybody know what NAFTA is? What is it? Okay. It will cause all of what was left here that you could work for in industry of any size to go south, because they can pay these people 75 cents an hour, no, 75 cents a day, and get all the work that they need. The peso down there is something like $385 for 1 peso. That's how bad their inflation has gone down there, which of course has been worked by the so-called debtor nations when they came there and took away their own lifestyle and gave them a lifestyle that they could not agree to, and so on and so forth again. It will also take away all the rest of the jobs that are here, cause the economy here to slash, and they'll come up with the new money, and then you'll be out of luck. You think I'm lying? You watch. Here's the one about FEMA, the unconstitutional organization that now with all these floods is in every principal city in the United States, and they've signed an agreement with it. I don't know why they even want agreements. They don't honor them. But nevertheless, they want agreements. So now FEMA, Federal, what is it? Emergency Management Act, in which now they can do anything with extremes that is detrimental to them, imprison you, take your weapons, take your money, take your jobs, take your woman, take your man, take you. They've been doing that anyway. But now they can do it officially. Because in this case of extreme emergency and national priority is that the secret government must survive. All about FEMA. And the ones that behind the Trilateral Commission. The ones that want to rule the world and get in good with the gods in space that are no good and become of the world rulers. They want, like Hitler, to rule the world. Some of the pictures, you even see Bill Clinton right there. You didn't know it when you elected him, did you? Yeah. Thought Bush was bad. Well, he can't get much best than Bush, but poor Clinton, poor thing, he's just used so much, it's hard to tell what he can't do because he can't do anything on his own. He has no choice. He might be a good man, but nobody runs the United States anymore. Aliens do. That's your hidden government. Those papers are back there, $1 a piece if you want them. And also, I have a booklet of prophecies. I'm going to end the lecture with this. The prophecies from now to the year 2000. Within that are 33 prophecies. Some of them are already coming true. This book is 15 years old. I haven't had to change it. And here also are your 20 most earthquake-prone cities that will receive earthquakes and why. So you know where to move to or run from. Believe it or not, you ask for a lecturer, I bring you a message. Okay? And it will tell you when the last ones were, when the next ones will be, and so on and so forth. The earthquake insert, along with the prophecies. Cost of the whole thing, $3. I think it's a pretty good buy. So again, during our break, and please don't question me during the break, save your questions for later. I'm going to run high. Well, I can't even get out the back door, can I? At any rate, again, they're at the sale at the back table. See you back in about 10, 15 minutes. I've been wanting to hear that for some time. And hopefully, again, if I'm able to come to one of the universities or colleges here, that you'll come out and attend those lectures, if you would. Is Sete One, the brother in the yellow shirt, brother Sete One, when you came up earlier and you told me who you were, it still wasn't registering. When I met you by phone, you were in California, I think you had a different name. You don't have to go back to the slave name. I carry mine for certain reasons, okay? But I want to thank you very much because I understand it was your bringing that message here to Brother Calloway and later on as they contacted Uma and Emiola that were reasons for me getting here. So I respect that very much. I appreciate your interest. And there was another brother who contacted me very recently from California. I can't think of his name because I was in the office and the secretary took the message again. But they're also now interested, and he said it was a direct result of you. So now that I specifically place where you are, I thank you very much, okay? The sister also understands from California is very instrumental, so thank both of you, and I hope that God and Creator prospers your beginnings and also your undertakings. As we are going to get into the second part of tonight's presentation, this will not be very long, and if we have to speed it up near the end, the big message will have been given, and if we want to come together for questions and comments or so, I understand there's another room, and until my voice gives out, I'll try to answer and interact with them. If you weren't able to buy tapes and you wanted, there are many, many more tapes that we have in Chicago, and the black media will be handling some of my tapes also. You'll be able to get them there. So again, you can either contact us there. If you're ever through the Chicago area, please do find out when we're having some of the lectures or weekly or monthly presentations. And again, as I say, we also deal with a lot of vitamins, health products, again, for what we call the new age, including some other things too, which I won't get into now. Let me say also to you that there are many health products that can help you with your kind of immune system, meaning that it contains melanin to overcome a number of things that they say are going to decimate and wipe you out. It won't stop bullets and guns and knives, but many of the viral diseases, with your immunity, once it is enhanced, you can get by it. They know this too, and this is why they give you the wrong products. I state that to you. There's a lecture I give called from the book Murder by Injections, again, which would make you run for most of these vaccinations and things that they're going to give your kids. If you kept the kids out of school, it would be better than to send them for what they're going to put in their arm, because why educate the mind and lose the body? So again, I state you have to think now. In the second part tonight, I want to kind of talk with you about where we are now with this pact having been signed and so on and so forth. The booklet of prophecies states all of the different things, or some of the different things, that will be happening to our planet. It also states what will be happening to the Midwest. The end result will be that most of the area west of the Rocky Mountains will not be there. Now, I don't know whether you have friends and relatives. Some of you just came from California. Maybe you'd like to stay a while. I can only say again that the Midwest will also, unfortunately, kept its uppings too. For the Great Lakes are supposed to overflow through Lake Michigan, and in Chicago I'm already making my little piece and making friends around the world and so on and so forth again, and supposedly cut its way down to the Gulf of Mexico. The flooding of the Mississippi will then suddenly, in the next year or so, cease to flood, and people say, oh, things are beautiful, and then we get the damnation of Baffin Bay from Canada and the St. Lawrence Seaways teaming up, and with that kind of water plus the Great Lakes, nothing can stop that kind of devastation. The United States has heavy karma to pay. The United States has been the backbone of some of the most insidious undertakings on the planet, and at a time when the people there, as they call themselves the founding fathers, they were not, but the people that came there should have known better. They came from Newgate and Marshalsea prison, debtors' encampments, mercenaries, zealots, purists. They should have known better. And even when their great father in England, the Britonners and so on and so forth, did what they're supposed to do, because half of them have alien blood. But even so, they could have done better. And they haven't. Not only that, but they have been behind the scenes of most of the undertakings of espionage and covert action throughout the world. So when Mother America pays, then these are the final days. That's why America has been spared, and still, in the main, she will not save her ways. She will not change her ways. We are presently faced with a dilemma on this planet, of which at one time we could have changed. Now I don't know what we can do about it, but simply try to evacuate or to follow the path of least resistance. The Earth has a layer of oxygen around it. Oxygen is what causes all things on this planet to live and breathe and prosper. That is biological species. When oxygen is either hit by electricity or receives long and short ultraviolet rays from our sun, it changes into what is simply called ozone. Ozone, being a heavier particle layer, is usually beneath the oxygen layer. Oxygen is O1. Now, I know some of you in physics and physical chemistry say, hey, now, we've heard it as O2. Basic oxygen is O1. Oxygen with ultraviolet effect becomes O2. Ultraviolet long rays changes it to O3, and the result of both the oxygen and the hydrogen then changes to what they call H2O2, or hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, therefore, is one of the things that you can utilize now to speed up your heating, to speed up the oxygenating of all of the cells in your body. Every cell in your body must receive oxygen in order to operate efficiently. To the degree of the amount of oxygen that it's exposed to, the better it works. Now let me explain something else before you rush out and buy all the hydrogen peroxide you can find. When you go to the drugstores and get hydrogen peroxide, it is 3% hydrogen peroxide. It is not food grade. You're not supposed to take it internally. If you do, deadly gastronomic things can happen, the least of it being bleeding and ulcerations of the stomach lining and any other trachea and so on and so forth. If you swallow some of it, you note the burning sensation. It's good, again, for bleaching. It's good for parasites and stings, but not for internal. There's something called a food-grade 35% hydrogen peroxide that you can use internally, and usually it's watered down with aloe vera and things along this line. Okay? That, taken as you introduce it more and more into your body, will speed up the metabolism of the body's cells, cause the cells to heal faster. But as cells heal faster, they also eliminate. It is a byproduct of any cell metabolism to ingest and to secrete, even down to the cell governor, the protoplasmic brain of the cell. They all do the same things. So if you're going to take this, my suggestion is to take in some kind of catalytic agent, something, again, that can hunt out the free radicals that will therefore be released and keep your body, the toxins, in balance. So you excrete them, secrete them, sweat them out, you get rid of the poisons and toxins. One of the best things I know of is what is called cell guard. Okay? When it's sold to physicians and so, it is called antioxidant enzyme complex. In your health food stores, it's called Cell Guards. Now, if you can get them here in the health food stores, great. If you want to get them from us, we handle them also. Any product we have here, we have for sale because we research it and we utilize it, and we buy in mass volumes there in Chicago at the Metaphysician. So it's called Cell Guard. I suggest if you take in any kind of hydrogen peroxide therapy, that you take in something that can also get rid of those free radicals. Let me explain that a little bit too. People say, again, I'm going to share with you a lot today, and I hope you get your money's worth plus. The cell produces what they call, let's just start with the basis. Every cell has these little 2 electrons spinning around it. It stabilizes it, okay? It's what they call a molecular structure. When one of those little electrons becomes imbalanced, the cell itself, or the molecule itself, or the atom itself, becomes imbalanced. When it becomes imbalanced, it seeks to save itself because it can feel that it's going to be killed, it's going to die, like any other thing it wants to live. So, it begins to try and attach to another cell or molecule or atomic structure within your body that is stable and linked to it. When it first breaks loose, it is called a free radical. Production of free radicals is necessary when a cell operates, because when a cell does what it's going to do, it has to get rid of its toxins and poisons. So it's a natural process. This free radical, when it can get with a cell that it can link to, or try to link to that extra electron which that cell has, which it has now lost, then calls for others to come forward. And pretty soon you get a clumping action. That clumping action is called free radical metastasis. It simply means that these things interlink. And that's where your tumors start, that's where your cancer clusters, and even where AIDS viruses can generate on that clumping action. So, these kind of products there send out these free radical scavengers or antioxidant enzymes, and enzymatically break up those clusters, have your natural body immune system, your antigens, your antibodies, your leukocytes, your macrophages, on down the line, escort them on out of the body or disintegrate them on the spot. Then it's what you call a strong immune system. So these are not only immune system enhancers, they're oxygenators for the entire body. There's another product that is called stabilized oxygen. Now, don't get these confused with the other two. They have nothing to do with them, other than the fact that they're oxygen enhancers. Stabilized oxygen, I like to call 007 the killer. It's called 07. Okay? Stabilized oxygen means that it is stable. It is not radical. It is not full of fermentations. It's not full of additives. It does not burn or anything else. It can be added to the water supply, and it kills off the deadly bacteria that harm you. How can one little thing like this kill off all of those deadly bacteria? Nature is very beautiful. Nature is oversimplistic. Man is very radical and, again, complex. Nature has nothing to hide because he can't comprehend half of what he has already. Man has everything to hide because he has little. Consequently, nature works simplistically. There are 2 basic kinds of bacteria. No biologist, entomologist, I'm not crazy yet. Let me finish. All right? 2 basic ones. One is aerobic. How many take aerobic exercises and get all that oxygen in and get up the blood match up? Nobody does take aerobic? Well, all right. Well, whatever. Okay, how many run and hunt and sink and swim and do the martial arts and all the rest of it? Okay. Now, when you do that, you breathe faster. You put more oxygen into the blood, right? When you put more oxygen into the blood, the cells work better. Okay? Now, stabilized oxygen is stable. It works like it's supposed to work because it has no other chemicals or anything added to it again. What happens with this is nature has produced what is called aerobic bacteria, aerobic. They take in air. They are the friendly ones, what is called the friendly microorganisms. They have what they call anaerobic. Anaerobic bacteria don't want oxygen. They don't even want light. They want to be left alone and feed off of everything else like vampires in your body. Okay? Those are anaerobic. A real key that I don't share with a lot of people, I guess I'm doing it tonight because, because the response here has been good and I'm very happy to do so. Aerobic bacteria have a left-handed spin. They actually spin to the left. They vibrate to the left. Aerobic bacteria have a right spin. They actually spin to the right, centrifugal, and they seem to have a right-handed spin. They also, again, take in more oxygen. Here, they don't want oxygen. So when you put in a huge oxygenator into the system, they die or become still and pretty soon dry out if they are anaerobic. I'm oversimplifying, but I'm trying to make you understand. If they're aerobic and you put it in there, it builds up the kind of friendly bacteria you want. You say, well, what kind of friendly bacteria do I want? Your whole lumen, the colon, the intestines, is lined with bacteria. Literally decillions, nonillions of bacteria. The more you have the friendly aerobic ones, the more the feces and so breaks up, the more you don't get plaque lining, the more you don't get the disease and worms and all these kind of things that breed, even if you have trichina, they don't breed well in a friendly atmosphere. They're called Acidophilus, Lactobacillus, Bulgaris, and many other names. The putrefactive ones are what gives you your problem where they breed diseases and they spread from the lumen into the intestines and into the bloodstream and so on and so forth. So these things kill off and help to kill off if you constantly take it, those kind of things. In addition to which, you can take this and add this to your water and it kills the bacteria in the water. Now, I'm not naive. It's not going to take away the chlorine, bromocarda thing, all the rest of the thing, mercury that are in the water supplies. It won't bother the chemicals. It kills the bacteria that may breed with these chemicals and in the water supply. Simply by putting, say, 5 or 6 drops to a 6-ounce water, waiting about 3 minutes, shake it up and drink the water, all those kind of bacteria are dead. You take your vegetables and things, you want to rinse them off. Some people use vinegar, but it somewhat cooks the leaf. Use this. It takes care of all of those bacteria, the ones that you don't want. It takes care of milk. You put this into milk, instead of milk spoiling again, if you're going to drink it, that's a long story too. But if you're going to use the cow's milk, you put that in there and it won't spoil, and it kills off some of the bacteria in there that cause constipation. And since black people don't secrete enough lactin to take care of the laxidosis again, it will take care of that problem for you too, because those are all bacteria that breed that. Put it into anything, juices, the juices last 30 days. You don't have to refrigerate it. Just that simple, because what causes that fermentation are nature's scavengers, and again, those bacteria that come in there to take care of it when it loses its enzyme. If it doesn't lose its enzyme, nothing happens. This keeps the active enzymes in it. So, you can carry it around with you when you travel. I do. Treat the water, go in and drink it, and that's it. All right? Simply again, they have products now in this new age for everything. The point is, you're not told about them. Why? Because as melanin carriers, if you ever really got healthy in mind and body, you'd become a threat and a problem. And that's how I want to end this session tonight. The melanin carriers that I referred to from Sethantis on in the underworld to the black people that generated on the earth and were given melanin so that they could live on the surface and not become contaminated, not become cathartic, sun-affected, can't think straight, not because, you know, again, what radiation can do. Radiation can mutate anything. If you tan, it means that the energy from the sun, including the ultraviolet and actinic rays, can be utilized. They don't just burn where you get your carcinomas on the skin, or whether they go inside and get your melanomas inside in the internal organs, secretion and so. They simply take that and spread it out over the body and take the energy from it and speed up your cell development. So when you're exposed to radiation fields and you can tan, you speed up your thinking ability. You speed up your health process. Things speed up for you. And you become a mutation, but a nice mutation. I mean by that, most of us are mutated or we'd be dead, considering what we're exposed to. That's a whole lecture on itself too. Electronic diseases, genealogicals, it goes on and on. So we are already mutants. But now we're understanding the mutation may not be bad because the planet is changing. And you have to change as an organism on the planet, a friendly organism. As the planet changes, you have to adapt and change. It is the unfriendly ones who are stayed and sure that they're going to stop progress of this planet, that are fighting to retard its progress and trying to do everything they can to kill off its natural species, that the problem comes with. Not those that adapt, but those that refuse to adapt and would rather change the planet than change their own ways. In some cases they can't, so they're fighting for life. And they're about the business of deadly existence, where we are playing. Interferon is taken generally a conversion of melatonin, which is a process of secretion of melanin from the pineal gland. Interferon A, interferon B, it goes on down the line. I don't have time to go into a whole lecture on AIDS. You probably sat through a number of them again, but I think I can take some twists from that you may not have heard of. That may be another lecture we can go. But even with Kimron and Immunex that they're using for AIDS, it's still a derivative in the basically of either interferon or plant secretions, herbals again from Africa and other continents that have had a long history of taking care of radiation, that give off certain things which cause the immune system, the pineal pituitary complex, and the thymus gland to work better. Okay, that's all it is, a process of making those things work better. But when you have melanin and it's being produced in a very good form, then you can pretty much throw off anything that comes to the planet, provided you are internally strong. Now the mind links with that, and again, I'm not naive. You may say that's impossible. It's not impossible, because the Creator would not make a life form to exist on its surface that it could not perpetuate. It is again those who cannot manufacture the kind of interferon you can, whose pineal gland is almost atrophied, and they're trying to make yours atrophied now, who have to either live off of your interferon or artificially produce it in laboratories, that the problem comes with. They're the ones that receive radiation poisoning. They're the ones right now that the planet is selectively trying to eliminate. They're fighting for life. That's why I say with them it is not a game. As the ozone layer gets bigger, it means that the oxygen of Earth is being converted into ozone. That means also that the distant cosmic rays and the uncalibrated rays from the sun, what these scientists can't do anything about, and really don't know about, other than the fact it goes through every kind of barrier they put up, can then come into Earth, and it selectively begins to cause diseases and viruses and radioactive poisoning to those who cannot adapt to it. It is a house cleansing. Please understand me. It is a planetary clearing. When this happens, then those whole islands and continents of people that no longer will vibrate correctly, genetically will become sterile. One generation cannot reproduce themselves, and therefore they be wiped out. Other than that, they become diseases, cancerous type things, leukemic, and so on and so forth, melanomic, and they simply go out by the way of plagues. Since they are intelligent and already now have alien scavengers working with them, they said, we need help. And the aliens said, well, first of all, you've got to stop that planet from completing that cycle. And you've got to take care of all those that the cycle is being conditioned for, because they will outlive you, so use them as a cattle and feed off of them like we've been feeding off of you. Do you get the picture? That's a problem, folks. It means just as the Lone Ranger is coming to town, the bad guys are about to wipe them out. So it either means that the planetary cleansing has got to be speeded up, or the people have got to perish in the physical body and live in the spirit body. Well, many of you who are deeply into religion won't mind that, because if you die in the faith, you're going to see God anyway, so you don't mind dying, right? What are you laughing about? Isn't that your belief? Isn't it? If you're good, you're going to go to heaven, you see God. So why not die? That's too strong a way to put it. You're not bad, so you're not going to the hell and see the devil. You're good, so you're going to go to heaven and see God. Why not die? And you've got any problem with dying, going to see God? All right. So you're prepared for death then, right? Now, for those of you who want to live past that, you have to take some actions on your own. Okay? There's a joke that I hear it again sometime where the guy, you probably heard it, the rooftop joke. It's a big flood. The guy's on the rooftop, you know, and he's saying, gee, no, he's in the house right there. They say, hey, it's a flood coming. And he says, that's okay. I believe in God. God will save me. So again, the flood comes up. It rises up to the window. He climbs out the second-story window. Boat comes along, and the guy says again, flood coming. He says, that's all right. I believe in God. God will save me. Flood comes up a little bit higher. The guy gets on the roof. Helicopter comes over to broadcast down. We're kind of scared of here. Here we are, buddy. Again, grab hold of the rope. We'll pull you up. No, I believe in God. God will save me. The water comes over. Bloop, 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 bloop. He downs. He wakes up. He sees Gabriel. He says, St. Peter and Gabriel again, I believed in you, and you let me down. Doggone it. I asked that I be saved in the name of the Lord. He said, what the heck, man? We sent you a boat. We sent you a helicopter. We sent you a water ship. You to save yourself. Go to hell. You got to do something for self, folks. You must take actions for self. You can't talk about them. You can't argue about them. You make movements, either away from these places that you know are going to be afflicted because you believe in it, or stay and see what happens, or get you a summer home in some other place again and stay and see what happens. Convert your own body into the best oxygenating source that you can, and do a lot of meditating and praying to keep in tune with what may be happening. And again, you must come together. If you can't come together, then you must act individually. Collectively, there's no more time to worry about, can I trust my brother and this and that? You must trust somebody. If you can work without your brother and sister, great. If you can do it on your own, great. If not, then collectively you're going to have to come together to help each other. If you want the right kind of products, you're going to have to get the right kind of products. If you want to escape from a situation, you're going to have to start getting out of town before they close off the corridors. If you see what's happening on the horizon in acts of nature, and you see where it's not happening, you have to act to go where it's not happening and leave where it is happening. Those calls for major decisions. And the only thing I can say is, if you need signs of the time, you'll see it with the economic collapse that's just around the corner. You'll see it with the new money that's being printed. You'll see it with the paper dollar now that's coming out, the salmon colored with a magnetic strip on it. And when they, at the end of this year or the first of next year, that's the third quarter, the fiscal end of the year, November, or the first of '94, they will ask for your money to be turned in. They will then replace it with a new money and a new currency. It's a whole different lecture. The banks will issue, first of all, 1 for 1, because they want to find out who's got the money stored, and because they know that the money's out of circulation, the paper money. They already have the new economic order and computers that can keep care of the money, because the computers now calibrate the money, and the money even, it won't incinerate itself, it begins to shrivel up after a certain usage, so you won't be able to keep it over 2-3 years once they give it to you again. It's all planned because this is technology far beyond your wildest dream. Later on, it'll be just a universal card because they don't want money anyway, because money is what got them in trouble when people hoarded it. Now they want you to be able to be accepted, and if you don't have a card, you can't buy, so die. Okay? So I'm saying, I'm not doing this, but as you see these signs happening, you will know that something reaching a crisis is about on the horizon. How many days, how many years? Not over 7 at the most. Now, with that in mind, you will see what happens when minds become so unspiritual that the planet gets tired of it. As they increase this diabolical plan, you will see more earthquakes. You will see more tornadoes in places, this is why I say in diverse places, where they never were before. You will see droughts and famines. You will see deserts becoming muddy and full of water. You will see streams drying up. You will see species of birds and insects disappearing, and the things that they used to control attacking populated centers. You will see all kinds of viruses and plagues, and the worst thing you can do is to panic, because underneath that you're expected to keep your peace, keep your cool, and stay spiritual. That's going to take a lot. If you don't, you set off the same vibrations as that is trying to be cleansed, and you suffer the same fate. Now, as this is also happening, there will be signs in the sky. There's one symbol that will be for 6 or 7 months when the total calamities start, and that will be the crescent and the star. And it doesn't make me a follower of either Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Farad Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Farrakhan, or Minister Muslim. Muslim is a Muslim nation in America. It doesn't make me any of that. It makes me a spiritual brother of earth. One of the original spiritual brothers of earth. Again. Okay? I don't care what the religious sects have to name it. My spirit runs high, and I'm a devout spiritual person of earth. When such people come together, religious titles don't mean a thing. You will also find, unfortunately, that skin color may not mean a thing, because if a person has melanin enough and had to have color, they have some spiritual hope. Okay? Those who are devoid of spirituality yet have melanin, because they have accepted the ways, some say the devil, I will not say that, I will say of a lower vibratory creature, then they also as much Judases as the so-called white person is a Judas, per se. Don't be deceived by the color of the skin. Get into the spiritual quality of the soul. See it in the eyes, feel it in the vibration, and begin to bring out that psychic part of you to let you know who to trust and when you hear truth and when you don't. If you cannot do that, then trust your newspapers and your news bulletins. When this crescent and the star is seen from 6 to 9 months as a fixed thing in the sky, which is an impossibility, because the crescent is supposed to be part of the sun or part of the moon, whichever you look at it. The star, if we say a star is the sun, that means you will have a sun in between one of the phases of the moon and your earth. That's impossible. You cannot take a sun and put it between the moon and the earth and expect it to exist there. First of all, it would vaporize the moon and the earth. Okay? So what we see is an impossibility. There must be therefore an explanation for that. When the first phase of the moon, what is called the new moon, gets into a crescent or first quadrant again, and some shining planetoid or satellite is in orbit between it, you may get that point fixed. Okay? That for the Christian is the New Jerusalem. That for the metaphysician is Sanchez, the new earth, the earth child. A place where many people will be taken to wait out some of the catastrophes that will be happening on earth for those of earth who have not already made their means with the inner earth people and can go into that. Those are whole different lectures, but I put it into this one to let you understand that I understand the concept. Then, for those who cannot separate, for those who will not raise their vibration, there is riding it out on earth and doing the best you can with what you got. The things you cannot give up, hold on to them. And stay with them with what happens to those things. You'll find people in this age separating. You'll find mates having to say goodbye. It shouldn't be vicious. It should be something that must be done. You'll find friends that will not take on new vibrations, that will laugh at you. You have no time to argue. If you believe in a truth, you must follow that truth. If you follow your mate to detriment, then die with your mate in detriment and be happy. If you follow your lover in detriment, then die with your lover in detriment and be happy because you've received your bliss. But if you must follow your inner convictions and follow it all the way, there are no fence sitters at this time. You must get on fire with a concept and follow it completely, or you will perish or live based on your concept. I mean by that, for the kind of people that you're talking about to reach down and pluck you up and help you, you must have your vibrational rate, what they call your chakra centers, your upper glandular areas, spinning 3 times faster than your lower centers. Or else when they pull a teleporting machine on you, or they put in what they call a lifting phase rod on you, you would disintegrate and burst, just like in the movies when you see what happened in The Fly. They're always trying to tell you what's happening, but we don't understand. Or you mutate. So, unless you can do this, you can't even be beamed aboard. If there are such things as these crafts that you see around, which have been analyzing, they know more about you than you know about yourself, by the way. They know where your colonies came from, they know who you are, they know your genetic RNA, DNA pattern, they know your thoughts, because the thoughts always rise. Those that are good go out the furthest from Earth. Those that are heavy stay the closest in. They can just analyze an atmosphere and tell the combined thought of a people. The cities carry a smog or halo over them. If you go out and look at it from the highway, you wouldn't want to drive into the cities because of the dense gloss that's there. When you see a city that doesn't have it, go live there because it means at least the vibrations are clean there. As Earth cleanses itself, then you automatically separate yourself out from that is negative and become that is positive. You stop being the viruses and cancers and begin to be the aerobic bacteria, migrating to a new Earth, and you will be protected because the bloodstream of the Creator always protects those cells that are following direction. And that's all you are, just units of consciousness, electromagnetic units of consciousness in the bloodstream of the Creator. If you don't follow it, you poison your cells, you poison your organs, you poison your constellations, and the Creator tries to eliminate you because you're not following orders. Toward that, he has plenty of policemen come out and get you. You say this is way out. You know it's not, it's way in. It's internally what you must believe and live with that makes you what you are. You cannot lie to yourself. They say in judgment, a person's record plays before them simply because on your neuron centers, at your synapse points, everything you've done is in consciousness there. You can lie to everybody else in the world, but if you lie to yourself, you're already lost. And therefore, you will tell on yourself. You will judge yourself. You don't need a judger, a grim reaper coming about. You will automatically know. And automatically, that lowers your vibrations. If you raise your vibrations, you can join what is called the planetary brotherhood. Some of those spaceships you see out there are good. Some of those spaceships you don't even want to get within 1,000 miles of. All that flies is not good. All that glitters is not gold. Don't just run the spaceships as saving things. Some of them are very deadly. But the ones that you might want to approach are electromagnetic in nature. They cannot touch down on the earth because it takes a tremendous amount of energy to free themselves from that kind of a low vibration. The ones that you don't want can land anywhere. They're the electric ones. Okay? Therefore, the ones that are electromagnetic do not touch down. They either send out scout ships or rays or beams which can attract you into it or levitate your electromagnetic field, and you just simply molecularize inside. That's what a high spirit can do. A low spirit is so pragmatic, so grounded in animals, so grounded in material thoughts that it's so tightly held together that it would rather break than give and flow. It would rather yang than yin. Consequently, that is a problem now. This is why they're fighting to put into your bloodstreams things that will make your blood vibrations low, into your children, who are the best processors of melanin and this kind of things that will make their vibrations low, things that will make them suffer as their people will suffer because of the lack of vibration. It wants to lower the vibration, extract from you the glandulars to help them to survive. That's why, again, I say, and I'm not naive, I'm anything but naive, that some of these serum inoculations, it is not worth sending your kid to school for. Now, I'm not going to say that Blair got up here and said, everybody keep their skills out of the Atlanta school system, public school system. I'm saying, if you're sending them there for education, send them wherever they may be educated, not trained. If it takes shots in the arms in order to be learned, take them possibly where you don't have to get shots in the arm in order to learn. And if you're afraid of going to jail, then understand this, you're going to go to jail anyway down the line anytime you take a stance for good. Or you're going to be approached, because they don't want good people, they want followers. They want adapters. They want slaves, once again. The Earth is said by 2012 to start all over on a 1,000-year cycle. This is already 1993 in the middle of the year. By the year 2000, you won't recognize your planet. As these changes take place, people will begin to change. Psychic ability will become a way of life, because those that are there will raise the blood rate, the glands click in, and as the Earth now takes away its protective ozone layer and its protective oxygen layer, it will let the kind of radiation come in to let you begin to do what you used to be able to do. Lifting and using kinetic force to lift objects will come again to mankind through the glands. But you cannot possess these powers or do what it says unless you can clean the body enough and the mind enough and the spirit enough so there's no resistance to let that kind of energy flow through. The end result will be with Earth will take its place in the planetary brotherhood. Toward that end, talk of the serpent people, I'm well aware of, talk of the 13th planet coming around, talk of the showdown between the gray men and the Iranian and Syrian people, all this will take place. It's already taking place. That's why they're seeing so many of the mutant ninja turtles and all the reptiles, as they're preparing for the return of the serpents. But understand, these serpent people are very wise, very smart, with all kind of weaponry you wouldn't imagine. And the only force in this constellation that could stand against them will be the Syrians. And unless you can begin to clean up that act, they can't come to your defense. And in fact, all they'll do is send their little shock troopers, the little grays, which will be enough to eliminate most people who won't vibrate correctly in the first place. That showdown is a whole different way of talk. But understand that the vibrations that you're hearing and seeing are leading up to at least an 18-year period when everything you wanted will be true. But just as in the free radicals, it's got to get worse before it gets better. I thank you very much. May the Creator bless you. Study or take some learning. If you just take a chance, then, you know, fine. Yes, brother.
Yes, I've listened and watched your tapes in the past, and you mentioned something in the lecture about people living in you. Now, how is a person like me, for example, to relate that? Because to live in the earth, and there's something about a sun or what have you that's in the earth. You understand that on this planet there's certain parts or portions of the planet where you can go down to this. Now, could you just talk a little bit about what form it's like? It's not in three-dimensional form. What is it? Or could you just kind of explain that a little bit, please?
The underworld again, it's another lecture that is really in 7 parts. There's 6 cavern worlds and 1 hollow area where there's a central sun of the solar Earth. Okay? The Earth breathes through its opening. That's why the poles have never been discovered. Neither Matthew Henson nor Bird nor Perry discovered the poles because they don't know. There are openings there. These openings allow the planet to take in energy and excrete energy. And the central sun acts as a gyroscopic mechanism. It is the centralizer of the ego, the soul of Earth itself. That's what we call the central sun. It's an inflamed chakra that is giving off energy. The inner cavern worlds are where you have all of many of your species manipulated, your mutants, people who come from space that cannot live on the surface of the planet. Very few creatures can live exposed to the radiation and electronic field that we have here. That's why our lifespans are so short. But at least we can adapt and do it. Most people cry or die, most humanoids cry or die on the surface of the planet. They have to live away from that kind of radiation. Going the whole history of the underworld literally would take 2 or 3 hours, and it really should cut that in the class. But I can only say that if I leave things imagine this down there, there's another lecture I give called Genealogical Beyond Jurassic Park. Okay? Which is really the logical results of illogical gene splicing and spider manipulation. Those spider manipulators are down there too. Sometimes some of these people that are down there are humanoids are green in color. And when they put on the surface, if they eat the meats, breathe the air, and they can oxidate, they become pink. Many German people came from this area, as Hitler tried to talk about, as a real man tried to talk about. You have down there what you call Yetis, who are simply guardians again from Maldek, who have penalties to pay. And they guard the entranceways from the people captured. You have down there D-Rose and T-Rose, and you name it, bad people, you name it, they're down there. In the center are usually those who have been saved from generation to generation because they've raised their vibrations, still want to work from Earth itself, and are part of the planetary brotherhood. They can come and go through the polar atmosphere. So, as I say, it's a whole story series. If you want studies on that, I have them. And so on. Okay.
I've always seen where people talk about abductions. They only talk about Europeans being abducted. I've never seen any blacks being interviews on TV saying they're being abducted.
Melanin carriers being abducted.
So they are being abducted. Why is it that it's not as popular as,
because, like the news usually is directed toward Caucasians, because Caucasians own and produce programs and pay the commentators and put the news on that they feel is Now, not all abductions is bad, but I wouldn't take my chance on getting abducted to see if this is going to be a good guy or a bad guy. Some of the people that are abducted are returned with implants. Some of them are programmed to do a certain thing at a certain time, and only under hypnosis do they begin to remember some of the things they do. But it seems as though some of them are being trained to man some of these beam weapons and fly some of the UFOs that the United States and Russia is using to fight against the coming either of the serpent people or of the Syrians. And of course then, whoever gets killed, they're happy because they're only controlled Earth people fighting against their masters or gods as they return. So they think it's a big joke. They're fighting very fast. Yes.
Yes, if it's possible to do it using today's calendar type system terms of years, can you put some of the events that you described, such as the arrival of, let's just say, to put them in chronological order, that is, events such as maybe Atlantis, Lemuria, clear people, clear these, see what I'm saying?
You're talking possibly about Hyperborea, roughly around 2 million years ago, and as recently as about 300,000 years ago, that's what we call the Antarctic. It was a continent, a thriving continent with Cyclopeans and some the black people, some black people there. Of course, we don't even believe that Antarctica was ever inhabited. They're now finding some of these rainbow cities, crystal cities, and cities that were made of plastic, but are very invisible plastic in rainbow cities. When you talk about Pan, Lemuria, Mu, you're talking about an area in the Pacific, which the Hawaii, New Guinea, Easter Island, they're all remnants of that part. And of course there you're talking about originally a very dark-skinned people, and later on a mix of red and dark people, and later on a mutation of Mars, which is what we call later on when you're talking about Atlantis, you're talking there a period of about 750 to about 575,000 years ago. When you're talking about Atlantis, you're talking about something fairly recent in time, no more than about 150,000 years, dissipating in about 15,000 BC. And there you have the people from Marduk that incarnated, Marduk, Malona, is what we now call it. People from the inner earth and some of the Martians that were there, together with some of the bad scientists, who want to call it the Nacels. The Nacel 1s were bad, the Nacel 2s that migrated to Africa, Egypt were good. But then you had them there, and they're the ones you're talking about. The last of their kind perished in about 15,000.
And you speak a little bit about the brothers you made established from Africa, found it was brothers from another planet.
You're talking about the Cape, you got the Cape Coast and Tongues before time.
Yeah.
It was the Maritime Nation. Well, let's just say I've not had contact with those brothers since 1959. One at that time had an afro at a time when people weren't wearing afros, and the other had a close crop. One, he was about 6'5", the other guy was about 5'7". I have not seen them since, and I think one was from Sirius.
You met them in what city? You met them in City?
Chicago. In Chicago, this summer.
What made you think they were from the
Well, what they did, I hadn't seen any brother do since, and you know that's why they read my mind. I didn't even realize what was being mind read because it was so smooth until I belonged to the conversation. And I was kind of really going to say something. I knew I shouldn't have said it, but I was thinking it anyway. And he answered it and answered the question I was thinking. I said I haven't said that yet, and that's when he said, "Well, you haven't said a lot of things yet." And then I thought back and said, man, I'm up against something here. You know, my ego had me then. I was in college, but I knew it all. And I just found out I was out of class. You know, he predicted within 15 minutes events exactly as they were going to happen, and they did. I had a time shift, a time loss. I lost about 15 minutes. Saw back in 4 different dimensions. I mean, it goes on and on. What they didn't do is what amazed me. I mean, anything they wanted to do, they could. So that was pretty much it. After that is when I had my first UFO contact. Yes.
Could you say something more about the Atlanta missing and murdered children and what you foresee is happening in Atlanta in the future?
What do I see in Atlanta, the city, happening?
Yeah, as far as different developments in international city, a lot of secret stuff going on. The Georgia Pacific building, several floors underground.
Well, let's say Atlanta isn't as bad as some of the cities are. But obviously by you having the Olympics here in '96, it's going to be a simple hub. The developments here, good and bad, will allow now a lot of underground work to take place because they're of the installations now will be expanded underground. That's bad. Good part is, as it's called in ancient Atlanta, the Atlanta now, it still carries the vibration of greatness, but unfortunately before, the manipulations were wrong. Your Center for Disease Control here is probably one of the most insidious beasts around, and again has unlimited funds to do whatever research they want, and of course you know who the guinea pigs generally are. Okay, I thought I saw a hand over back.
Yeah, sister right here.
Yeah.
I've been noticing something in the news. I've been noticing more frequent attacks on people by animals such as sharks and barracudas and alligators, and I know it means something, and I was wondering if you knew that.
I think we're getting more publications of that now, and more people are visiting areas where these creatures exist. Before they didn't have to interface with man that much. Okay. However, the serpent areas, the reptilian areas, are awakening because their seed is close to returning, the 13th planet. And I was in a Sissinitian called it the 12th planet, it's the 13th planet. As these come back into vibrations, then, of course, they become more egotistical and so on and so forth. If you notice, the back of your hands, the body, except for the soles of the feet, the back of most reptiles are humped and lizard-like. They're scaly-like. Some people even go psoriasis underneath there. All people look like tadpoles the first trimester. We have an alien bacteriological strain of DNA that is from serpents. Okay, we are somewhat reptilian. Okay, other people actually produce scales and things like this. As this Earth goes back to that, then those kind of scientists and those people who were alien in that instance will try to return. We have now also the bloodline of what is called the higher advanced people from Sirius and even beyond that. And that part also must be weeded out. We chose to take the bodies that could adapt to this kind of radiation. Serpents can adapt to extreme radiations, and that's why that part of the skin is still there and that part of the mind is still there. The reason why the mutant ninja turtles and everything else is to prepare you for the reptilians coming. They want you to like reptiles. They want you to understand reptiles can be friendly. And that's all because their serpents are returning. I would say this, the few of the serpents who have risen in spirituality to be friendly with are not as much as their populace who eat people. Okay? That's all I can say.
I know that I feel that we're in mental slavery right now, but you mentioned something about slavery, I guess, like physical slavery. When is this supposed to happen exactly? When they're going to all try to get us all back into the physical slavery?
Well, if you look at the prisons and you look at the countless places of incarceration, black men are already back to being physically slaves. Many black sisters are in there also. They have you tied into the IRS, into the state governments, and so we're almost in mental slavery, constantly worried about what type